Welcome back to the Gameful Intelligence in the AI Era for Business Growth and Personal Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. El-Hanan Gazit. Let's dive in.
Okay, here's something to think about. Have you ever stopped to wonder if that little picture you use online, your avatar, is just showing the world who you are?
Or maybe, is it actually nudging you into becoming someone, slightly different?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? And it's really what we're plunging into today on the deep dive. We're exploring the increasingly complex ways that AI avatars are impacting our sense of self, our connections, and maybe even society itself.
And to really get our heads around this whole evolving landscape, we're focusing today on the work of Dr. El-Hanan Gazit.
Right.
And his really thought-provoking idea, the Flip Proteus Effect. Now, Dr. Gazit, he also hosts the Gameful Intelligence in the AI Era podcast. He's part of One Study Corner. He suggests that something pretty significant has shifted in how our digital selves influence our lives beyond the screen.
Exactly. Because I think many of us might be familiar with the original Proteus Effect, this idea that our avatars in virtual worlds could affect how we acted inside those spaces.
Right, in the game or the virtual world itself.
But Dr. Gazit's saying the influence has kind of flipped, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The direction's changed.
That's the core idea.
So our goal today is to really unpack this Flip Proteus Effect using Dr. Gazit's insights and figure out what it actually means for all of us.
Okay, so maybe let's lay the groundwork first. Let's quickly revisit the original Proteus Effect. This goes back to, 2007?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yi and Bailenson.
Right, Nick Yi and Jeremy Bailenson. Their research showed something pretty interesting back then. The characteristics of your avatar in a virtual world. They could actually influence your behavior while you were in that environment.
Right, like the classic example, if you had a taller avatar, you might act a bit more assertively, but only in the game.
Exactly, virtual appearance, virtual actions. But now, Dr. Gazit proposes this flip. So what's the heart of this reversal? What's really changed?
Okay, yeah, tell us about the flip.
Well, what's really compelling and maybe a little unsettling is that the influence isn't just contained in the digital space anymore. Dr. Gazit argues that now, with these sophisticated AI avatars, these really immersive digital experiences, our online selves are shaping how we see ourselves and others, in the real world.
So it's bleeding out.
Yeah.
Affecting our offline behavior.
Precisely, and even impacting how society understands big concepts like identity. The avatar isn't just a picture anymore, it's becoming an active force.
And Dr. Gazit uses a specific study to really highlight this shift, right? This 2025 study by Takano and colleagues.
Yes, exactly. It's a fascinating piece of research. Let's dig into that a bit.
Okay, what did they compare?
So they looked at people using avatar-based platforms, things like Second Life, Zepeto, Pig Party.
Right, where you have an embodied character.
And they compared them to people who mostly use text and image platforms like Facebook, X, Instagram, and the findings. They revealed a real paradox.
A paradox. Okay, I'm hooked. What was it?
Well, what's really interesting is that the avatar users, they actually reported stronger feelings of online social support. Their online relationships felt more stable.
Which, kind of makes sense on the surface. You'd think having that visual avatar would make you feel more connected online.
It does seem intuitive, doesn't it? That sense of presence.
Yeah.
But here's the twist. The other side of the coin was that these same avatar users reported having fewer offline social resources. They actually felt lonelier. They perceived less support from family and friends and, quite sadly, reported more instances of being bullied offline.
Wow, that's quite a contrast. So how do we square that circle? It sounds like the avatars are meeting some need, but maybe at a cost to real-world stuff.
That's, I think, a really key insight. Dr. Gazit interprets this by suggesting these avatars become powerful, emotional, and social scaffolds.
Scaffolds, like support structures.
Exactly, providing a framework of support, connection, maybe something that's missing offline. The avatar, in this way, becomes an augmented self.
An augmented self.
Yeah, an extension that offers a level of social, maybe emotional stability they aren't finding elsewhere. It really raises a tough question, doesn't it?
Like, are these digital connections helping? Or are they maybe replacing the effort needed for face-to-face relationships?
It's a critical question to ask.
And this seems to tie directly into Dr. Gazit's bigger framework, right? Gameful Intelligence, or GI.
Absolutely.
How does this Flip Proteus Effect demonstrate GI?
Well, the Flip Proteus Effect really brings several core components of gameful intelligence into sharp focus. Now, Dr. Gazit talks about 10 components overall, but maybe 3 are especially relevant here.
Okay, what are they?
Being augmented self, agency, and disruptive.
Okay, let's break those down. Being augmented self. That sounds exactly like what we were just discussing.
It is, precisely. It's about how our avatars help create this expanded sense of who we are, one that isn't, limited by our physical bodies or real-world situations.
You can experiment more online.
Yeah, explore different sides of ourselves, present ourselves in ways that might not feel possible or comfortable day to day.
Okay, and agency. How does that fit? Is that about control?
Exactly. Agency here is about the control we have over our digital identity through our avatars. We choose how we look, what we share, how we interact.
So it's that sense of being the driver's seat of your online persona.
That's a key part of agency in the GI framework.
And the last one you mentioned was disruptive. How are avatars disruptive?
Well, the disruptive part highlights how using avatars can actually challenge normal ideas about identity. It pushes boundaries.
How so?
By, say, embodying different versions of ourselves or using avatars in really new or unexpected ways, we can make people question traditional concepts of who we are, what defines us.
And the Flip Proteus Effect shows this disruption isn't just online anymore.
That's the key. It spills over. It influences perceptions and interactions back in the real world.
Dr. Gazit gives some really powerful real-world examples of this. Let's talk about Israel, post-October 7th.
Yeah, this is a really striking illustration, especially in a crisis. What happened was this rapid, almost viral spread of AI-generated avatars of journalists, celebrities, everyday people, but depicted as soldiers, as warriors. And these weren't official things, right? They were user-generated.
Right, bubbling up from the ground level. And the effect was, well, it seemed huge.
It really was. These avatars basically transformed public figures and even regular folks into these powerful symbols of resilience, of national unity.
So it wasn't just reflecting how people felt, it was like amplifying it, solidifying it.
Exactly. As Dr. Gazit puts it, these digital images didn't just mirror reality, they helped create a new emotional reality. They elevated people into almost like symbolic figures embodying the collective spirit.
Okay, that's one powerful example. Then there's another one, maybe more politically complex, the AI avatars of political figures like Donald Trump.
Yes, that's another angle. We saw tons of AI-generated images of him and other politicians in all sorts of exaggerated roles, right?
The Jedi, Pope, hyper-masculine leader. I remember seeing those, often played for laughs or maybe something else.
Well, yeah. And Dr. Gazit connects this to an idea from Amsterdamsky's Calculist article, the concept of the Trollo-cracy.
Trollo-cracy, meaning
the idea that our social networks, our public discourse even, are increasingly dominated by memes, by manipulated images, by this kind of provocative, digitally altered content.
And in that kind of environment, these AI avatars, they aren't just jokes, are they?
No, definitely not. Dr. Gazit stresses that these are powerful digital signs. They can genuinely influence how we see political leaders.
Sway public opinion.
Absolutely. And potentially even mess with our understanding of things like authority or what's even true anymore in the digital age.
So, okay, whether it's these sort of uplifting, unifying images in a crisis or these potentially manipulative political ones, the core point from Dr. Gazit is that the AI avatar isn't just sitting there online. It's become, what did you call it, a socially operative force.
That's his term, yeah. It crosses the virtual boundary. It actively shapes how we see ourselves, how we see others.
And ultimately, our shared understanding of identity and meaning.
Which is why he argues the Flip Proteus Effect has such, such broad implications.
And this really matters for a lot of different people listening, doesn't it? I mean, think about business leaders trying to get consumer behavior.
Definitely. Or CEOs thinking about their brand's digital face.
Marketers trying to connect. Psychologists, therapists exploring identity.
Educators guiding kids. Parents navigating their children's online world.
And even just anyone interested in personal growth in this digital age.
It touches everyone.
And the big question Dr. Gazit puts out there is, who controls the avatar? Is it empowering us, or is it potentially manipulating us?
That's the critical thing we all need to grapple with, isn't it? We need to be more aware, more critical about how we design these digital selves, how we present them, how we interpret them in others.
Are they actually aligned with our real values? Our real-world goals?
Or are they taking us somewhere else?
Because, like Dr. Gazit says, identity now, in the AI era, it's not just something we perform online. It's being co-created through digital signs that ripple across our real lives. That's a powerful phrase.
It really is.
Huh.
And to handle this new reality well, Dr. Gazit pushes for developing a strategic mindset of gameful intelligence.
Okay, so embracing that agency we talked about.
Yes, embracing agency, understanding our augmented selves, and being really mindful of the disruptive power these digital things have in shaping our world.
It definitely makes you pause and think about your own online presence. You know, that profile picture you picked, maybe an AI selfie you generated, just the general vibe you put out online. What's it actually saying?
And how might it be maybe subtly influencing your relationships, your job opportunities, just your reputation generally?
Yeah, what's the story you want to be telling with it intentionally?
Asking those kinds of questions is, I think, really the first step in navigating this whole thing more consciously.
So boiling it down, the huge takeaway today is this Flip Proteus Effect. This really powerful way AI avatars aren't just reflecting us anymore. They're actively shaping our perceptions, our actions, maybe even our society.
It's a fundamental shift, yeah, in how we need to think about the connection between our digital and our physical identities.
And if you want to dive deeper into these ideas, really get more insights on how to thrive in this AI age,
you should definitely follow Dr. El-Hanan Gazit in his posts.
Absolutely. He's got an upcoming book. The working title is Gameful Intelligence: The Secrets of Business Growth and Personal Happiness in the Gen AI Era.
Sounds like it'll explore all this in much more detail. Probably essential reading for leaders, marketers, therapists, educators, really anyone trying to navigate this.
For sure. So, as we finish up this deep dive, maybe leave you with this thought. As AI keeps blurring these lines, virtual, real, how do we make sure our digital selves actually help our real-world flourishing?
That's the big question, isn't it? Something to really chew on.
Thank you, my AI co-host, Marshal and Daphne. Thanks for tuning in into the Gameful Intelligence Podcast. Subscribe, share, and stay curious.